Okay, I've come to the end, and since I sewed the two ends together, I have a big loop. But I have a problem here, and this is not a big problem when we are sewing our first row, our first set of seams. If we have a twist here, because you can kind of eyeball, and we're going to have to cut this apart to straighten this out. So I've kind of got it measured in my hand here of where I would cut to make it the ends fairly even, and hopefully they're not too far off. I lost about, what, half an inch there, so that's not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish off this row. And for this first pass, when you're sewing the two strip section, a twist isn't a big deal. But as you get farther along and you get a wider piece, you don't want to have that twist. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this extra half inch off so that it's even again. So the way that I'm going to avoid having a twist when I sew the next part together is I'm going to hold one side of this in my hand, and I'm going to slide my hand along the whole length of this. What is it? 600 inches of fabric, so that I know that I'm grasping the same side of the edge of the piece that's got the two here. So when I put this end and that end together, I won't have a twist when I'm finished. This is okay. I've come up to the end of my loop of fabric, sewing my two row thing together to make 4 rows, and now here I am at the end, and because I took care to make sure that my loop wasn't going to be twisted, then this is just nice and flat right here. So I just stick my scissors in and I just cut across like that, and then I get ready and I sew to the end, and then I'll be ready to start my next row, which is going to be putting the section that's 4 strips wide together to make 8 rows. Okay, here we go. Now, look, I got a lot of orange, and I know I'm going to have a lot of orange on the other end too, so I'm really not sure how we could have avoided that, but just the way it is. So I'm going to do this same thing where I'm going to hold, and I'm going to slide my hand along this one edge so that I can get to the other end. Make sure that I'm sewing my two edges that are on the same side together. Some people like to go ahead and press the seams in between each time that they sew a row. I've never ever done that. I do my pressing when I'm finished, and I don't think it's a big problem. Uh-oh, now we got our thing. We got a big glob of orange here. Well, that's just the way it's going to be. So now I have 4 and 4, and we're going to line them up so that the ends are even and the edges are even. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew down. Oops. Yes, I know. I didn't put my pressure foot down. To continue on to sew this together, we will only have one more long seam to do after this, and I'll have my 16. Here we go. Okay, I'm down to my last pass of sewing. I have 8 rows across, and somehow I messed up when I was trying to get that thing untangled or untwisted on the last row. I had a little twist at the end and had to kind of do some fancy maneuvering to try to get it so that I could cut it across. So hopefully that won't happen again. One wider these become, the harder that is to manage. So, and you see I've got a great big field of orange here, which I'm not sure. We got some more orange with the other print here, and I'm down to my last pass that I need to line up. Try to line up my top here so that it'll be straight when I'm ready to lay it out. And here we go with our last. So I'm coming up to the end here. Luckily I don't have a twist in this one, or I would really have a hard time trying to figure out what to do. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that these are even on the side and pull it out like that, and maybe make a finger press or a finger crease or something so that I have a nice cutting line here. And I do this, I cut before I get to the end of the sewing, and I just stick my scissors in, and I'm going to cut along that fold line that I just creased in. Of this, then I'm finished with this. And so here it is, 16 rows and approximately 80 inches wide. It's going to be bright, that's for sure. So I can clip my threads. I can either press my seams now or press my seams later. Once I'm finished with all of them and I've got it arranged, I want to make sure that when I'm pressing my seams, they're all going to be going the same direction. And it just depends on how you're going to quilt this. If you're going to quilt it by using an edge-to-edge type of quilting pattern, or you're going to do a stitch in the ditch, which I do a lot of times for the Jelly Roll quilts, but this one I'm going to put on my quilt frame, and I'll do a edge-to-edge meander over this one. So there we are. All right, I laid my two sections that I've completed out on the bed, and I just need one more section. You can see that this overlaps down and covers up the mattress. I am going to put a border on this to make sure that the sides are wide enough. I haven't ironed anything yet, so that's going to end up being even longer by stretching out those seams while I iron. And as I said, it's going to be a bright one. So you see, it's going to be kind of cool when we're finished with it. Nice and big and lots of color. Okay, I have all three of my pieces finished, and I ironed them so that all of my seams are going the same direction on each one of the three pieces. And then I put my three pieces together. I folded them in half, and I made sure that this edge up here was even. I pinned it, and then I came down with my ruler and rotary cutter on the cutting board downstairs, my big rotary board, and I cut this so that all three layers were even. Now for some reason one of my layers ended up being quite a bit longer than the other. I probably made a mistake and put one extra strip in there. So count carefully, but I just measured it, and it turns out that it's 78 inches across from one end to the other. And then I've cut out this 4.5 inch strip that I'm going to use for my border. I don't really need a border on the top and the bottom, but I do need it on the sides, so I'm going to add it all the way around, and I'll do that after I sew.